Hey there, it's Christine here. How are you? So, today we're going to talk about 5 tips to keep your sanity during the holidays and even thrive. And it's not what you think. So, if you're here for a reason. It's not a coincidence. So, I promise you that if you stick with me here, I'm going to be quick. There are going to be tips and tricks that are going to help you during this holiday season to enjoy the time, to thrive during the time, to find the fun in the time, and just really like potentially change your the dynamics of your future. So here are my questions for you. Number 1, do the holidays bring you stress? And when I say stress, I'm not just talking about buying lots of gifts and making cookies for neighbors and that kind of thing. I'm talking about, do you dread family gatherings? Do you dread going to that family gathering with Uncle Bob that gets into politics, or the dynamics with your sister or your brother-in-law? And there's people in your family that you love, right? But they drive you crazy. I want you to know that you're not alone. And so there's some things I want to share with you. I want to share a story about one of my clients. Her name is Marie. And, she, like all of us, right? Every one of us has challenges with there's people that we have challenges with. And there's a comedian that shared something, and he said, the reason that the holidays can be so stressful and anxiety and depression, all these things go up, is because we have to spend time with people that we normally wouldn't spend time with, but we're related to them. I don't know about you, but that really hit home. And I think that really cracked me up. And so Marie was sharing how, she would just dread going to family gatherings. And there was certain dynamics that would happen and conversations that would just start going down a road that was not enjoyable, creating stress. And what she realized one day is that she has got to change her perspective, right? Ultimately, you and I, the only people we can change is ourselves. And there's a quote by Wayne Dyer, and it says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that is so true, because everything's an event. And so when you think about, there's what's called a self-coaching model, and it talks about, really everything in life is empty and meaningless. It's like we apply meaning. You and I can go to the same party and the same events happen, but you have one perception and I have another perception. So how can you take charge of your perception of your circumstances? So it's like there's circumstances which are facts, like that's just the things that happen. What our thoughts are about those circumstances, our thoughts drive our feelings, right? Think about it. Like, have you ever felt, when you're happy, well, you're having a happy thought prior to that, or joyful. If you're sad, you're having a sad thought that's driving your feelings. So, circumstances, thoughts, feelings drive actions. So, feelings drive the actions that you choose, and the actions drive the results. And this applies in every single aspect of our life. So, there's a default model and a deliberate model of how we perceive life. And, in our families, so many times we can get into certain dynamics with family members, and it's up to you and it's up to me. It's really empowering when you can take charge of how you are handling things, of how you see things. And so when you change the way when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So here are some tips and tricks on how you can do that. So Marie was sharing, like, her family, like there's some crazy things, right? And a lot of times she would find herself getting offended, having her feelings hurt, and just feeling like, oh my gosh, where did I come from? How did I get born into this crazy bunch, right? And she had seen where Tyler Perry, a lot of his movies are based on family members. And what he did is he took all these crazy family members and different characteristics and personalities, and he created humor, and he found the humor in all those different people. So, I think that finding the humor really changes the game. So what I want you to do, if you've ever watched like Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, it is hilarious. And I guarantee that if your family, if you got like the crazy uncle or the crazy different situations, I guarantee there's going to be some scenario you're going to relate to. Christmas Vacation. I mean, hello, that is a classic. So these are a couple that here's what I recommend. Watch these movies and then think about your family. Think about the framework of your family. Like use this framework to think about your family. And so again, this is short and sweet. So really the key element here is Marie realized that when she got with her family, she started imagining that she was in a sitcom or she was in like a comedy movie, and she saw things through that, through that filter. She was telling me how she made this special, sweet potato casserole, and like it's something that her kids love and she's really proud of. And she asked her Aunt Mary, hey, do you want some? I made this casserole, and I got it out of this, this cookbook from my husband's grandmother, blah blah blah. And she asks her, like, would you like some of the sweet potato casserole? And her Aunt Mary is like, oh, I can't stand sweet potatoes. I know, like, how do you like that example? And so originally she told me that she would have been really offended, right? Wouldn't you? But instead, she shifted out of that and she just saw it as being so funny. Like like she's really got to respond that way. She could have said no, thank you. But it's like rather than getting hurt or upset or offended, she made this conscious choice to see it from a humorous standpoint. So, to tie that up, and I don't know if you can relate to that. And if you can, I'd love to hear some of your comments or hear scenarios or what you do to deal with things. But here's the tips: manage expectations. So, one thing to realize when you go to these different events, don't think that suddenly Uncle Bob is going to be a totally different person, or he's not going to talk about politics, or, the conversation. Like, just manage your expectations that it is what it is, and you can only change you. You can only change yourself and how you perceive things. Another thing is create intentional conversations. So I've seen this many times where the dynamics of some people, they get together. I don't know if this happens in your family, but it's like whatever injustice there is, oh man, people get glom onto that and just start complaining, and the world's going to hell. And I mean, it's easy to get caught up in that, right? But if you have like icebreaker questions, go find some fun icebreaker questions, and then like really try to intentionally control the conversations, and try to elevate the conversations to good stuff. Have things like, what's your favorite thing about, somebody, or what's your favorite movie and why? What are the 5 things you're grateful for and why? Trying to drive those conversations. And even when you think about intentional conversations, be prepared with different topics to gently redirect. So like if Aunt Jane starts going down the road about the world and all the screwed up people or whatever it might be, try to gently redirect the conversation. And it's like if you think about these things ahead of time, then you can be prepared and try to drive these conversations so that you stay on, what was your favorite movie? What's your favorite? Oh, we just went and saw, Top Gun. What did you think about it? So trying to really intentionally drive the conversations. Again, imagine you're in a sitcom. I promise you, when you look at your family from that perspective, it will shift everything. And then the final thing, the 5th thing, is limit exposure and have an exit strategy. So if you have a certain family member that is just difficult, right? You get with them and it's just really difficult. Just try to limit exposure. And it doesn't mean that, they're a horrible person. It just means that you are being empowered to take care of you, and, maybe have a different dynamic. Make sure that if you do have people over, invite different people to create a different dynamic. And so limit exposure to those people that get you crazy. If you do get in the situations with them, imagine you're in a sitcom. and have an exit strategy. So if you're with your husband or your wife or your significant other or whoever, have kind of a strategy, like a signal maybe, or something where you're like, leave at the peak. That's one thing I always say. Leave when you're having a good time, get out when you're still ahead. So I hope that those things are beneficial for you. I hope that that helps you during this holiday season. And again, these are strategies that help you to be empowered to drive the best time, and for you to have a great experience. And hopefully, maybe you can change the dynamics of things in these different gatherings and make it fun. So I wish you all the best. Happy holidays, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.